Well, I took the grinder apart. Basically, I need to put a pocket in here for the VFD mount. Okay, and so rather than go print out another CAD drawing, I really don't need it extremely accurate, but I do kind of want it somewhat close. So I was gonna line it up with the blocks on the sides, but you can feel it aligned. You can look through the holes there and see that the design has changed. So all I'm going to do is just go in here and scribe the hole for the pocket, and then I'll put it on the mill and I'll mill that out. Then I'll probably have to do some hand filing to get the holes square. This is the base for my grinder if I ever get to do it. And this is the prototype, so all the changes and all that kind of stuff, we've been doing all that stuff to this one. So I'll get it set up on the mill and we'll mill the pocket. I need the other piece apart because I got some things to countersink on it, so we'll do that too. We'll see if I can pull this off. I'd rather not have to take all this apart, so I'm going to see if I can countersink the 4 motor bolts. And then I've got to do this one too, but rather than have that flop around right now, I'm going to leave that bolt in. And, I'll take that bolt out and then see if I can just do it on there. These don't have to be exactly precise, and I'm not quite sure. My countersink is big enough. It might be just big enough. So anyway. I could call that good, but I'm going to see if it'll go further. Yeah, it makes it just big enough. Starts going up the sides because that's definitely down there. Okay, perfect. So what I want to do now is hold that down there and zero out my Z-axis, so that way I can make the other ones the same depth. So, or at least real close. Alright, I like that. Now, if I can... So the challenge here is finding a spot where I can sit just on that part and not on any of the bolts or other parts. That way it's flat. Alright, that anchors down hard there. So, let's see if I can hold it there. Now I can't use my digital readout this time. Okay, I can see the shelf there. Yeah, when that goes in now, it's that head's recessed, so that's definitely far enough. And I think that's it. I can move on to. I picked up some metal to tack weld on here to act as a guide to see if I can keep those things from moving around so much. So let's do that. I put a really fine one on the die grinder here, really fine sanding disc. I'm gonna see if I can get some of that burr down without disrupting the finish a little bit. It's the prototype. I'm really not too worried about the finish, but you know, it is a cool finish. So. Few marks around it, but it's gone. So this is a DA, dual action sander, and what it does is there's a the wheel is actually, the axle is actually off-centered from the center of this, so it goes around in a circle this way while it's spinning. Okay, so see how it kind of throws it off. There's a counterbalance in there. So it'll spin like this, but it's designed to spin like that while it's doing this. So when you put your hand on it, you know, if you think you can watch it, this isn't actually spinning. It will if you let it go, but anyway. Well, I was pretty sure that's what Dave said he did the finish in, and must have been, because that blended it right back in perfectly. Wow. Not that I want to go back and touch up the whole thing, but I'll probably use it on the bottom to, let's see, let's turn it here a little bit. Yeah, see the rust spots and the stains? I'll probably go ahead and, oh, can't even see the one I'm working on there, can you? That was a rust spot there, and you can see it does actually stain the metal. So you got to grind down deep enough to get that, if you care. I'm not too worried about getting these perfect again, because since we don't plan on painting it or coating it, it's just going to happen again. So I'll do more of that when I get the work done in the mill to create that other pocket. So there's a spacer that goes in between here. This is the bolt that came out, the one that I killed, ground the head and all that stuff. It still didn't have no clearance. I got the nut here. My main concern is getting the bolt back through. Now, since I didn't unbolt this, they're still in line together, but I got to get this little spacer up in there. So that's a bit of a challenge, and probably easier if I loosen that bolt. But so anyway, it started up in there. I can use a I've been using an Allen wrench to help line it up. Wrong Allen wrench. Okay. There we go. Nice. Okay. You know, had I seen that in CAD, had more time and that stuff, there was such a time rush at the end there, I missed some of those details like that. I did catch one or two, luckily, or I'd had a lot more grief, but had I caught that in CAD, we would have done that to start with, but looks like it's going to work out in the end anyway. I think we're about ready to go here. I'm going to run that down fairly close so I can get my position. And like I said, I'm really not too worried about it being perfect, but I do want to make sure I drill the holes inside the line, so I can drill it there and just keep stepping them in a few. Seems like I always manage to set it up so the my arm's in the shop. And part of the reason for doing it on that side, it's easier to see the screen on the camera. Anyway, let's set this stuff aside for a second. There's just 5/16 hole. Okay, so I'm going to keep this piece handy. The slot's a hair wider than 3/8 because it's 3/8 inch plate. But I made this hole is designed to be the exact same size as that. So once I get it close, I can then see if it when I get the width right. And I'll just be sticking it down in the middle there because with the round edges on the corner, I could literally push it far enough to where it would drop in, and then I don't even have to hand file anything. Yeah, I think I just might do that because the the sides here are bigger on the piece that I'm going to be putting in, so it'll cover up the, yeah, cool. That just saved me some manual labor, which I don't like. Well, looks like I didn't need to go as far or whatever, but it's not going to matter because once the overhang is over there and it pulls it down, you know, it'll be just fine. So, all right. Anyway, that's it for that. Now I can clean those holes up, do a little sanding, and put it back together. All right. Not sure I'm going to use this, but since I need to put this back together, I figured, well, I'll go ahead and shoot it while I'm at it. Motor mount back here to the right, so that's usually the only real difficult part when you put it together the first time is figuring out which way it goes. Now, in subsequent models, maybe not on the first 12. If I ever do another one, I'll change the spacing on one of these, which I may have already done. I don't remember. Anyway, you can't bolt that down tighter. You can't get the gussets back in. So you need to put the gussets in while it's still loose. So it's almost like cheating to use the gun, but hey, I have it. Just want to make sure they're in enough they don't fall apart. But I'll tighten those up in a little bit. And there's the other one. So, doing the bolts is easy enough. If you can reach, coming up from the bottom is usually easier. Putting it in. I don't remember if there was much of a bow in here. If there is, the bow is like this. So I'm going to lift up on the middle a little bit. I'm going to tighten it down. And push down on these. As if that makes any difference. If there is a bow in it, you need to take it out first. So, I'm looking at the gaps down each side here, and they're all nice and even. So, it's straight enough. I guess I can finish doing these. Now, I got a little work on the motor mount to do, because on the motor I had on here, you know, it's a cheap motor, but it does the job. The base plate isn't quite perfectly square or perpendicular with the face mounting holes. So when you go to put it together, the face holes are cocked slightly. And since I don't have slots in there, which, because it's going to need to be countersink, yeah, you know, I don't necessarily plan on making any more of these. So anyway, I'm going to take that base plate off and see if I can open those holes up just a little bit so that the body will rotate a little bit more. So I think that's next on the list. I still have to make the plate for the VFD mount, but it looks like I think the modifications to this are done, so I can actually start putting it back together. So I basically took a piece of 1/4 inch by 3/4, made two 10-inch long strips. Basically I cut it down the center and then cut them off. Then I put them in the mill and milled the underside nice and clean, smooth. And then I put the tool in and then clamped it down on top of it and that stuff. So this goes in there. You know, and there's no, especially for this side, there's no wobble there. Now, just so you can see it a little better, I'll pull that one back out. This is the one that, had all the wobble. And let's zoom out just a little bit, because it had, okay, so a little snug going all the way in there. The spacers that I have under here, I may need to make those a little wider, because that's typically what they're dragging on. Anyway, I'm not even bolted down, I'm not even clamped tight, okay? And you can see that there's hardly any movement there. You know, and if I push down, it really doesn't go anywhere. So let's move it out here to the end. Oh, yeah, look at that. I'm picking up the other end there. There's a little coming up. I'll put the clamp down. Yeah, and there's still a little coming up there. But once it settles down, it doesn't bend. It doesn't flex anything on the other side here. And I didn't want to get the strips too tight down on top of the tool because I didn't want it binding and dragging too hard going in. So I like that. That got rid of a lot of it there, and makes it a whole lot more solid when pushing down on it. So back over there where I did the countersink and did the motor and that stuff, and that's all bolted back down and everything. I guess I can put the fish mount attachment back on. I don't have the electronics on it. I could just spin it. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.